وَإِذْ وَاعَدْنَا مُوسَىٰ 40 لَيْلَةً ثُمَّ اتَّخَذْتُمُ الْعِجْلَ مِن بَعْدِهِ وَأَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ
আর তখন আমি মুসার সাথে ওয়াদা করেছি 40 রাত্রির, অতঃপর তোমরা গোবৎস বানিয়ে নিয়েছ মুসার অনুপস্থিতিতে। বস্তুত তোমরা ছিলে জালেম।
وَإِذْ وَاعَدْنَا مُوسَىٰ 40 لَيْلَةً. And so now there's a sequence actually. This part of it is chronologically sequenced. First the humiliation, then their escape from Egypt, now they're on the other side and Allah calls Musa alayhi salam. Allah says, and remind yourselves when we called Musa to fulfill our promise, 40 لَيْلَةً, for a period of 40 nights. So Musa alayhi salam is called for 40 nights. Now understand, if there was any doubt that he is Allah's messenger, the fact that he helped them escape through the water should remove that doubt. I mean, up until you're on this side of the water and you could see the dust rising of Fir'aun's armies and you're like, what have you brought us to our death? You know, I had some thought in my head that this was a bad idea, but now I know this is crazy. But then when the water parts, any doubt you may have had, he's definitely the messenger of Allah, you know? Now that he's gone on the other side and they've escaped, and you know, Allah will tell us the favors of Allah on the other side as well later on. But now that you're absolutely convinced he's Allah's messenger and Allah has done this great favor to him and through him to all of you, Allah calls him for 40 nights. When he calls him for 40 nights, what do they do in his absence? ثُمَّ اتَّخَذْتُمُ الْعِجْلَ مِن بَعْدِهِ. Thereafter, you held on to the calf. The calf is a baby cow, right? Al-Ijl. Even after him. Now min ba'dihi is very interesting. Because min here is harf at-ta'ajjub. You could say ba'dahu in Arabic, but min ba'dihi. Even after everything that he has done, and he's gone to fulfill the promise with Allah, even after that you were able to hold on to this calf and worship it. The reason I'm mentioning this, and the language has so much shock and disappointment in it, is because they had reached a point where there should have been no more room for skepticism. And there should have been absolute obedience and allegiance with Musa alayhi salam. After all, he's the one who has helped them, get them to victory by Allah's permission. وَأَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ. And you were the ones who were wrongdoers. And this antum ظَالِمُونَ is also talked about. Because they actually, the Israelites, and this is a sentiment they even hold until today, they blame God for a lot of things. They blame God for a lot of things. And they even at the time of Musa alayhi salam, they would blame Musa alayhi salam and say, how come your God doesn't help us out? What kind of food is this? How come we don't get better items on the menu and things like that? But even today, even in our times, very recently, actually I was traveling and next to me was an old Jewish couple. And I was just going over some Quran and they said, what's that in your hand? What are you reading? I was like, this is Quran, our book of Revelation, and I'm just reviewing what I've memorized. And they're like, read some of it to us. So I was like, okay, these people are interesting. So I recited some of it to them and they said, we recite our book too. And they started talking about the Torah. I was, okay, this is cool. So we just started talking, and all of a sudden, and this married couple were Holocaust survivors. Halfway through the conversation, he tells me, I don't believe in God. I was like, what? A second ago, you were just telling me how you read your book. And how you have this book, this tradition, and you're very spiritual, this and that. No, we don't believe in. Why don't you believe in God? How could He let this happen to us? How could He let the Holocaust happen? How could He let this happen or that happen or the other happen? In other words, they attribute wrongdoing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something they did before and they continue to do this today. A group among them at least. We can't paint everybody with the same brush. But the sentiment is there. The sentiment is there. So, وَأَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ.